Jameson Ford had everything money could buy. At 42, he owned buildings and businesses across 3 states. His mansion sat on a hill with marble floors and crystal chandeliers that sparkled like diamonds. Every morning was the same routine. He would stand in his dressing room, adjusting his silk tie in the mirror, every detail perfect, every thread in place. On Tuesday morning, his wife Stacy glided past like a movie star. Her blonde hair caught the sunlight. Her cream dress flowed like water. She sipped orange juice from an expensive crystal glass. "Don't forget your presentation," she said sweetly. "The board gets nervous without you." Jameson smiled, but lately something felt wrong. Stacy seemed distant. When her phone rang, she left the room to answer. Her conversations felt empty and rehearsed. He pushed away these doubts. Rich men worry too much, he told himself. Jameson kissed his wife's cheek, grabbed his briefcase, and headed for the door where his driver waited with the black car. He had walked this route thousands of times, toward the stone driveway. But today was different. As he stepped outside, Jameson froze. There, in the shadow of the column, stood a little girl. She was tiny, maybe 8 years old. Her dark skin was dusty from sleeping outdoors. Her white dress was now gray with dirt. In her small hands, she held a dented metal bucket. Mrs. Henderson, the housekeeper, appeared beside Jameson. "She comes by sometimes," Mrs. Henderson whispered. "Never causes trouble, just appears like a little ghost." But the girl wasn't looking at the housekeeper. Her dark eyes stared directly at Jameson with surprising intensity. Jameson had seen homeless people before, always from inside his car, protected by tinted windows. He had never been this close. He set down his briefcase and knelt to her level. "Hello there. What's your name?" "Maya," she said clearly, looking right at him without shame or fear. "Are you hungry, Maya? Do you need food?" Most homeless children would say yes immediately, but Maya shook her head. "No, sir. I came to tell you something important." Jameson was curious. What could a homeless child need to tell him? "What's that, sweetheart?" Maya looked around nervously, then stepped closer. Her voice became a whisper. "Your wife? She's lying to you." The words hit Jameson like a punch. "Excuse me? Last night, I slept behind your garden wall. I saw her through the window. She was with another man. Not you." Jameson's heart raced. "What do you mean?" "They were laughing together, holding hands. She said something about you being gone soon. She said she was almost free." The morning air felt suddenly cold. Jameson searched Maya's eyes for lies or games. But all he saw was honest truth. From inside, he could hear Stacy laughing on the phone. The same laugh that once brought him joy now sounded false. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. Maya's answer was simple and heartbreaking. "Because people like you don't see people like me. But I see everything, and nobody believes little girls who sleep outside." She gave a small nod, turned, and walked away down the stone path. Her metal bucket clinked softly with each step. Jameson stayed kneeling, watching her disappear. His expensive suit wrinkled against the stone. His perfect morning had been shattered by an 8-year-old with nothing to lose. That night, Jameson couldn't eat dinner. He sat across from Stacy at their dining table, watching her cut her food with elegant movements. She looked perfect as always. But now every gesture seemed fake, every smile calculated. "You're quiet tonight?" she said. "Bad day at the office?" "Something like that," Jameson replied, studying her face for guilt or nervousness. That night, he lay awake, listening to Stacy breathe peacefully beside him. She looked innocent in sleep, but Maya's words echoed in his mind. She said she was almost free. The next morning, Jameson made a decision that would change everything. He canceled his meetings and locked himself in his home office. For 8 years, he had trusted completely, never questioned Stacy's activities, never doubted her love. He had been proud of this trust. Now he realized it might have been foolishness. His home security system contained cameras throughout the house, installed to protect against burglars, never imagining he'd need protection from his own wife. His hands shook as he logged into the system. He had never invaded Stacy's privacy before. It felt wrong, but Maya's warning burned in his mind. He searched the previous night's footage from the garden wing cameras, the quiet hallways where guests rarely went. At first, nothing unusual. Empty corridors, moonlight through windows. Then at 1:40 a.m., a figure moved through the shadows. Stacy. She wore the silk robe he'd bought her for their anniversary. Her hair was pinned up sophisticatedly. She moved carefully, quietly, like someone hiding. Jameson's breath caught. 30 seconds later, another figure followed. A man in a dark suit. Jameson leaned closer. The man's face came into view under a hallway light. Peter Crane, his business partner of 12 years, his friend, his wedding's best man. The betrayal hit Jameson like a physical blow. He doubled over, gasping. But worse was coming. The audio system had captured their conversation. Jameson turned up the volume with trembling hands. Stacy's voice came through clearly. The Swiss account is almost ready. He's been moving funds there for months without knowing. I've been forging his signature. Peter's voice, how much longer? 2 weeks. Then we disappear, and Jameson becomes yesterday's news. Jameson's world collapsed. This wasn't just betrayal. This was fraud, a plan to destroy his life and steal everything. The next several hours passed in a blur of phone calls and legal documents. Jameson contacted his attorney, his accountant, his computer security team. He froze every bank account, changed every password, secured every asset. The evidence was overwhelming. Stacy had forged his signature dozens of times. She had used his passwords to access accounts he didn't even know existed. She had systematically been moving money to Swiss banks, Cayman Island accounts, and offshore investments. If she had succeeded, Jameson would have been left with nothing. Not just broke, but in debt, facing fraud charges for crimes he didn't commit. By evening, Jameson had assembled a complete case against his wife and business partner. The lawyers were impressed by the thoroughness of the evidence. The police were preparing arrest warrants. But Jameson felt no satisfaction, only a hollow sadness that the woman he had loved for 8 years had never loved him back. When Stacy returned home from what she claimed was a lunch with her sister, Jameson was waiting in the foyer. He wore a simple black suit instead of his usual expensive attire. In his hands was a manila folder. Jameson? Stacy's voice was light, cheerful. You're home early. Are you feeling all right? He didn't answer immediately. He studied her face, looking for any sign of the woman he thought he had married, but all he saw was a stranger. We need to talk, he said finally. He handed her the folder. Stacy opened it, and her face went pale. Bank statements, photographs from the security cameras, transcripts of recorded conversations, legal documents. I don't understand, she whispered. Yes, you do, Jameson replied calmly. You understand perfectly. You and Peter have been planning this for months. Stacy's hands shook as she flipped through the pages. Jameson, I can explain. No, he interrupted. You can't, because there is no explanation that makes this right. You lied to me. You stole from me. You planned to destroy my life. How did you? A little girl told me, Jameson said simply. An 8-year-old child with nothing saw what I refused to see. She warned me about you, and I listened. By the next morning, Stacy was gone. Her clothes, her jewelry, her phone, all packed into suitcases and removed from the house. The lawyers had served her with divorce papers and criminal charges. Peter Crane was arrested at his office on charges of fraud and embezzlement. But Jameson's heart wasn't focused on revenge or justice. It was focused on finding the little girl who had saved his life. For 3 days, Jameson searched for Maya. He called every homeless shelter in the city. He visited food kitchens and charity organizations. He had his staff search parks, abandoned buildings, and back alleys. No one had seen a little girl with a metal bucket. Jameson began to worry that she had moved on, that she was somewhere far away where he couldn't find her. The thought of never seeing her again, never being able to thank her properly, filled him with panic. On the 4th day, Mrs. Henderson approached him with news. Mr. Ford, I think I found her. One of the kitchen staff at the downtown bakery says there's a little girl who sleeps behind their building. She matches the description. Jameson didn't wait for his driver. He took his own car and drove directly to the bakery, his heart racing with hope and fear. Behind the building, in a narrow alley between 2 dumpsters, he found her. Maya was curled up in a large cardboard box. She had lined it with newspapers and old blankets. Her metal bucket sat beside her like a faithful companion. She was awake, staring up at the small strip of sky visible between the buildings. When Jameson's shadow fell across her, she looked up without surprise, as if she had been expecting him. Hello, Maya, he said softly. Hello, Mr. Ford. Jameson knelt beside her. You saved my life. Do you know that? Maya shrugged. I just told you what I saw. What you saw saved me from losing everything. My money, my business, my future, everything. I'm glad, she said simply. Jameson reached into his pocket and pulled out a small jewelry box. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a pendant. This is for you, he said, placing it around her neck. Because you were brave enough to speak the truth. Maya touched the necklace with wonder. It's beautiful. So are you, Jameson said. And I have a question for you. Would you like to come home with me? Would you like to be my daughter? Maya's eyes widened. She hesitated for a while. Then she asked, forever? Forever. She looked at Jameson with those same serious, honest eyes that had delivered such an important truth. Yes, she whispered. I would like that very much. 1 year later, Maya Ford. The adoption was finally complete. She sat in the garden reading a book about stars. She had discovered she loved learning about planets and the vast universe beyond. Jameson watched from his study window, amazed by her transformation. Not just her appearance, but her confidence. She spoke up now. She laughed easily. She had made friends with neighbor children. Most importantly, she had learned to trust, to believe she was worthy of love and safety and a bright future. That evening, as they read together in the library, Maya looked up seriously. Daddy? The word still made Jameson's heart skip. Yes, sweetheart. Why did you believe me that day, when I told you about your wife? Jameson closed his book and thought carefully. Because you had nothing to gain by lying to me, and everything to lose by telling the truth. That kind of courage only comes from honesty. Maya nodded thoughtfully. And because I saw you, really saw you, not just your money or house, but you. That's right. You saw me when I couldn't see myself. They returned to reading, but Jameson's mind filled with gratitude. He had lost a wife who was never truly his, but he had gained a daughter who chose to be his family. The smallest among us sometimes carry the greatest courage. And sometimes, the most profound act of love is simply believing someone when they tell us the truth. If you enjoyed this story, drop a heart in the comment section below and tell us where you are watching from. Also, subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories like this. Your every subscription motivates us. Until next time, stay kind.